Okay, so we'll kick proceedings off. I think we've got everyone online now that we were expecting. So once again, good morning. Welcome on behalf of Servium to the next in the series of our INOOT webinar series. I need one of those. This is a series of webinars that we run every fortnight that explores some of the key vendors in the marketplace, some of the technologies to watch, that the trends that are shaping IT in the marketplace. And today it's all around HP Enterprise and GreenLake Flex Capacity, which we're seeing a massive uptake on. So I'm joined today by Reuben Melville from HPE. Good morning, Reuben.
Good morning, Steve. Thank you for the invite.
Thanks for taking the time out today to go through this. So hopefully everyone who's registered, you all received your Kit Kats, fingers crossed. So relax, put your feet up, and we're going to sort of kick proceedings off. But say today it's all about something that we have got heavily involved with HP around their new consumption service, and we're one of the sort of pioneers in the market working with HPE on this, and we believe it's very relevant to you and people who have joined today. So firstly, just a little bit of background on Servium, because some of you know us, some of you maybe don't know us much. But the whole purpose of today and this whole webinar series is to demonstrate how we can add value, how we can put the sort of business challenges you have at the center of everything that we do. And our inspiration is to find solutions as a troubleshooter. And we do that by sort of walking in your shoes, understanding your challenges, working with best-of-breed partners, some of the key vendors like HP Enterprise. That allows us then to deliver sort of great customer service and delivering that through our account management team. So our whole approach is whatever your problem, your challenge, and however large or small it is, understanding and working with you for the strategy, helping you design, work with you on the implementation and support. But the key thing for us is when we've delivered a project, again, no matter how large or small, is reviewing that and making sure that we've delivered that within timescales, within budgets, and within expectations. And we do that by utilising our partner ecosystem. We have best-of-breed partners that we work with, and many of you would have experienced how good that is. So again, the rationale there is to deliver best-of-breed service capabilities where maybe you have a skills gap, skills shortage, and so on. So today we're focusing very much on sort of compute and data area of our sort of value proposition, and this is what the flex capacity is all about. We will take questions at the end of the presentation that Reuben's going to deliver, and also a short poll at the end as well to get some feedback and so on. So Reuben, without any further ado, I'll hand the floor to you, and I'll leave you to carry on.
Thank you very much, Steve. So welcome. Yes, I'm here to talk about Hewlett-Packard Enterprise GreenLake Flex Capacity. So what is the GreenLake Flex Capacity solution? Think of this as cloud-like agility in economics, infrastructure as a service, but within the security of your own data center. And we're seeing a lot of traction with regards to this on the market across different verticals. And why is that? Well, when we're talking to our customers, they're actually talking to us about business agility. So they're looking to be able to respond quickly, being able to respond to market demands, etc. Of course, everybody's looking to lower IT costs as well. And if possible, to be able to align those costs back to the business and link it to the business benefits. Simplifying IT is a challenge that everybody is always looking at. So being able to maybe free up your resources to focus on more critical areas of your environment and of the business. And then having greater control, because actually customers are looking to be able to not only have control over their performance, but security and meet those compliance regulations, etc., that are really coming into focus today. And as you can see, the market is also looking to go this way. So 80% of IT infrastructure will be bought as a pay-as-you-go basis. 40% of consumption-based procurement in data centers will account for as much as 40% of the enterprise IT infrastructure spending. And we are really starting to see this within the market. More and more customers are looking for an alternative to be able to do something different. Now, one of those areas they look at is the cloud. So lots of our customers, most of our customers, are talking about a cloud journey. But what we're actually now finding is, whereas customers used to talk about moving to the public cloud, actually they're now talking to us about more hybrid type solutions, where customers are actually starting to realize maybe they can't move everything to the public cloud. So we've got some good examples where customers have looked to do that, but maybe because of challenges around the applications, maybe because of compliance regulations. But also what we're finding is that customers are telling us that they're not seeing the cost savings that they thought they would have within the public cloud. And so it's really looking to adjust it from going to public cloud to absolutely using the public cloud in certain areas of the environment, but it is more about a hybrid type solution. And actually, when we look at why customers are moving to the public cloud, it's about being able to respond quicker, not having to own the assets, being able to scale up. And that's exactly what our infrastructure as a service solution, Flex Capacity, delivers for you. So for those applications that maybe can't move to the cloud, the data that has to reside within your data center, this is a perfect solution for you. And you can have confidence in working with HPE and our partners. We've actually been delivering these types of solutions for over 8 years. We have over $2.5 billion of contracted assets globally as well. We are the market leader when it comes to these consumption type services, and we continue to invest in these solutions. So we've recently purchased a company called Cloud Cruiser. The reason we did that is to be able to really develop the solution, the metering that we deliver within your environment, because this service is absolutely based on customers paying for what they're actually using. And so we meter the environment through this software Cloud Cruiser, and you have access to a portal that shows you what you are using. So what is HPE's GreenLake Flex Capacity? Well, if you think about the environment, you've got capacity requirements. They tend to go up, sometimes they go down. If you then look at the traditional mode of purchase, what you're actually doing is spending IT budgets on capacity that you don't actually require from day one. And actually, on average, look, companies over provision for compute by around 60%, and it's nearly 50% for storage. So every time you're buying new assets to meet those capacity demands, actually you are overspending, you're over provisioning. What we do with the Flex Capacity Consumption Service is actually work with you to look at what do you actually require from day one. So what are you going to be using from day one? We will then work with you and your partner to talk about actually what is the predicted growth. So where do you think you'll be in maybe 4-5 years' time? Now, that's not a commitment on your behalf, by the way, but that enables us to be able to provide you pricing that enables you to be able to grow into the environment and take financial benefit of that growth. So we work with you. This is across our technologies, so networking, servers, and storage. And what we do is we work out a committed capacity buffer. So on average, customers look at being able to commit to around 80% of what they actually require. So if we keep mathematics simple, say you required 100 terabytes, so actually required using it. With this type of solution, you would commercially commit to 80 terabytes within your data center. But we want to be able to provide you an on-site buffer. That enables you to respond to business demand quickly. So when you then start to think about actually, rather than spending money up front on capacity you don't actually require from day one, you can see the cost savings that you have. So rather than spending that money up front, you can reinvest it into the business. But we also mentioned the buffer, and that enables you to be able to scale up quickly. Now, when we talk to the customers, actually, we find industry average, it takes around 3 months to implement new technology. So going from that conversation of, I need this, to having it working in your environment usually takes around 3 months. And actually, the business can't wait for that. They need to be able to respond quickly. Well, we provide you this buffer on site within your own data center. So you can scale up in minutes, not months. Now, a key thing to be able to highlight here is I spoke about that you're committing to the capacity, the committed capacity. So with this buffer, if you don't use it, you will never be charged for it. You're only charged for that buffer as and when you use it. That enables you to be able to respond to business demand quickly when you need it, but scale back down when you don't. So you're only charged for it as and when you use it. As mentioned, this is across the technologies, networking, servers and storage. It's within your own data center so you can meet the demands of compliance regulations, etc. We assign an account support manager who will proactively work with you to avoid downtime. So they will talk about things such as default calls, etc., like this within your environment, how we've responded, how we've resolved them, how to avoid them in the future. But we also assign a utility delivery manager. That person is there purely to actually look at the capacity requirements within your own company. So how much of the buffer are you using? How often are you using it? If you keep going into it, then we really need to be able to start increasing the committed capacity and then increasing the on-site buffer so that you've always got enough capacity deployed ahead of demand. So deploying capacity ahead of demand, you're only paying for what you consume. So with the invoice that you would receive, you would have that committed capacity. And then if you have used your buffer, you would then be able to see how much you've used, how long for, and then the charge on top of that. But it's only charged for as and when you use it. So again, just to demonstrate the point, the traditional mode of purchase, you're actually spending money up front, you're installing capacity you don't require from day one, and that brings additional charges, power, cooling, maybe footprint charges, software license charges, support charges. Because we're deploying it as and when required, you're getting much better utilization and all of the savings that come along with that. But you can be confident as well that you're actually having capacity deployed ahead of demand. So it grows with your requirement. And with that buffer, you're able to scale up in minutes, not months. So we've got many customers, over 700 customers actually with the consumption services. Just to give you an example, Yoox Net-a-Porter. So Yoox Net-a-Porter are one of the fastest growing clothing retailers. So industry leading, they're actually one of the fastest growing in the fact that actually a few years ago, they were selling their clothes from their bedroom. They're now one of the industry leaders. The reason they looked at flex capacity is because they wanted to free up funds. They didn't want to own a large infrastructure, but they needed the infrastructure to be secure because actually it's a high-end retail service that they deliver. So they always wanted to make sure they had their website available, their applications available to their customers. And they also had certain times where traffic, etc., would increase. Because they have that on-site buffer, they're able to meet that demand. But because they don't have to pay up front, they're able to reinvest that back into the business and continue innovation. So bringing out more products to meet their customers' demands, stay ahead of the game, ahead of their competitors. Another example, and this is where we see it across a lot of customers. So we had one customer that was assigning funds, budgets to projects. So project A would come along and they would invest in certain infrastructure. Project B would come along, etc., C, D, and E. Now, it was a very siloed approach, and soon what they had was a huge estate that was underutilized. They had spiraling costs. Data center footprint costs was a particular problem for them. They were actually running out of the space within the data center, and power and cooling, that was just getting bigger and bigger. So with the GreenLake Flex Capacity solution, infrastructure as a service, what it enabled them to do is actually start to have an environment that was much better utilized, because we're providing infrastructure as a service. We are responsible for ensuring there's always enough capacity to meet the customer's demand. But what it also did, it enabled them to have a clear understanding of the cost of IT. So they were able to align the costs of capacity back to these projects. In effect, they became an internal service provider. So not only were they able to charge back, not only were they able to budget in a better fashion, but suddenly they had a much better utilized estate. So all of the cost savings that you have that around the reduction of the power, the cooling, software licenses, costs, etc. as well, and the simplification of the estate. So we provided them what we call t-shirt sizes, so specific storage devices, servers, etc. And so they could just choose from that and be able to scale quickly as and when they required. So as I said at the beginning, we're talking to all types of customers, large customers, small customers across the industries, but they're all seeing similar benefits. So faster value, being able to respond to business demand in a quicker fashion. And look at this, 65% shorter time to deploy IT projects. We're simplifying IT. So what do we mean by that? Well, not only are we simplifying the IT with regards to the technologies that we're installing, but we're also helping you with things such as the firmware, the patching, capacity management. So it frees up your time to focus on more critical areas for the business. And because you don't have to spend up front, you're able to reinvest. And because we're deploying capacity when you require it, then you're getting all those cost savings. And look, 30% IT savings due to the fact that you're not over provisioning. And proper control. This is sat within your own data center. So it's meeting those security compliances. You're actually doing the day-to-day management of it. We can help with that as well. We can include that within the solution, but you're running it day to day. So it's meeting your compliance, your security as well. These are just a range of the benefits that we are seeing that our customers have with GreenLake Flex Capacity. Steve?
Great. Yeah, that's great. Thanks for that, Reuben. Great insight there. And certainly the conversations that that we've been having with our customers on a number of sort of successful implementations, it's all been around, it's applicable to any particular market sector, it's scalable, and there's that flexibility. So again, the conversations we've had is it's an alternative to to build a private cloud, with an AWS type experience and cost model, but on premise. So again, that's really important. So we'll open the floor up now to any questions. So anyone who's like to ask, and then there's the QA button at the bottom. If you just click on that, and then the questions will pop up. So I've got one here, Reuben, from John. How do I purchase flex capacity?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you, John. So, as I said, we're partnering. So Servium, what I would suggest is that you actually contact your aligned Servium account manager. We're working closely with you, as you know, Steve. And so your account manager will be able to engage with us, and we will then be able to talk to you about what are your requirements and build a solution that's appropriate for your environment. So yeah, please contact your Servium account manager and we will engage immediately.
I know the engagements I've had in the past have all been around, doing that capacity planning, isn't it? So you're building out the right infrastructure, over that sort of life cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we'll be doing, Steve and John, to yourself, we would actually talk about what do you require from day one. So if you remember that stepping stone slide that we had, so what do you actually require from day one, and then what do you see as the growth? Like I said, it's really important to understand you're not commercially committing to that growth, but it enables us to be able to provide a unit charge. So this can be across all different types of units. So per gigabyte, per terabyte, per virtual machine, per physical machine. It could be cores, etc. And so we would be looking at what's the best unit of measure for you, what's the most appropriate for your environment, for the technology that we're going to be providing you as well. And then we can provide you that stepping stone price. And as you move up into those steps, as you're growing in the environment, you'll see a reduction in that unit charge, but actually that affects the whole environment. So further cost savings being offered through the consumption service.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Reuben. A question from Paul. What is the smallest footprint that you deploy? We talked about scalability before, and what does that include? Again, I know you've talked about server storage networking. So smallest footprint, and what does it include? I think Paul's also asking for the costings. I think we might take that offline, Paul, if that's okay. But what's a tip? Where can we scale from, Reuben, and scale up to?
So it does depend on the technology, Steve. It depends on the amount of growth as well. So I would welcome a conversation with Paul. It might be appropriate actually to talk about one of the pilots we're doing with Servium actually. So we are looking to be able to move into the smaller environments working with you guys. So I would say at the moment, it's around about looking at a technology size of say 200K and above. But let's have a chat, because there could be a good opportunity to work with yourself, Paul, to build a service that's appropriate. Okay,
that's great. Thanks. So, Paul, if you want to, we'll take that offline if that's okay. And again, the call to action for anyone who's interested, we will do a sort of one-to-one sort of deeper dive with ourselves and HPE to sort of talk about more specifics. So, if you wouldn't mind, Paul, sort of taking that, we'll take that offline. Question from Mike. Is this specific to on-prem solutions? Is there a HPE offering that is similar to AWS cloud storage?
Great question. So it is infrastructure as a service based within the customer's data center or a data center of their choice. So that really does focus around things such as for the capacity, data, etc., that can't move to the cloud. But what I would say, Mike, watch this space. We are continuing to develop this service, and so I'd like to keep in contact with you to be able to demonstrate where we're moving, because hybrid is absolutely at the heart of HPE's strategy. So we are partnering with cloud providers, etc., as well. But at the moment, from today, it is focusing on the infrastructure as a service piece, but we are continuing to develop this solution.
Okay. Right. Okay. Hope that's answered your question, Mike. But again, if you want more details, then we're happy to do a one-to-one deep dive. So, a question from Dan: to take advantage of the GreenLake solution, do you have to buy all new servers and storage, or can you implement this as part of on top of an existing data center estate?
Yeah, good question, Dan. So we are actually talking to customers that have existing estates. Traditionally, this is about being able to provide the infrastructure as a service, so new technologies going into the customer's environment. However, we are starting to talk to customers where actually they may have existing assets. It could be possible that we could include a buyback of those assets for our financial services and then be able to reinvest that into actually the solution as well.
Okay. Thanks for that, Reuben. Another question from Paul. Is flex capacity essentially renting hardware? And how does it differ from a rental model?
Yeah, good question, Paul. So this is based on actually what you are using. So we are metering the environment. So it is a true infrastructure as a service. We become responsible for ensuring you've always got enough capacity. So we'll be proactively deploying more capacity as and when required. With those type of lease agreements, actually it's up to the customer to be able to work out the capacity and when they need more capacity as well. We are proactively working with you to avoid that, to avoid the longer term implementation that we spoke about, over 3 months to implement new technology, but also because we're metering it through that Cloud Cruiser software, you get access to a portal to show you that the charges are absolutely in line with what you're actually using. Okay,
that's great. I think I've got a final question here from Alan, because we talked a lot about hybrids. It's very topical, Reuben. So is it possible to burst into the cloud?
Good question, Alan. So I would link that back to one of the previous questions that we had. At the moment, this is infrastructure as a service within your own data center. However, we are continuing to invest in hybrid solutions. So you'll be aware of acquisitions that HP have made, Red Pixie, for example, and actually, we're doing that to be able to provide hybrid services. So from today, it's infrastructure as a service. We do have a range of consultancy solutions that we can help with it. Tomorrow, we will be developing this service.
Okay, that's great. Well, that's a question. So thanks everyone for putting those questions forward. If it's okay now, I'd just like to sort of start the poll, and hopefully you'll see that on your screens. It'd be really great to get some feedback. There's only half a dozen questions. If you wouldn't mind just taking the time out to answer those, because again, it's just the feedback helps us develop our INOOT series of webinars, make sure that it's fit for purpose and you're getting value from it. And there's an ongoing series, a number of more coming over the next couple of months. So it's going to be regular. And I think from the GreenLake Flex Capacity, we've done a lot of work with HPE, and as I alluded to before, we're doing some pioneering work. We're one of only 2 partners in the world that are working at the next level with HP around GreenLake, and the only one in the UK. So it's great to have that strong partnership, Reuben, isn't it? So we work so closely together on this particular what we believe is a very innovative, but it's disruptive technology, because I think that from the cloud providers, the AWSs, the Azures, Google, even Alibaba, that are starting to emerge in the sort of UK and European marketplace, where we see this as from our point of view, having a massive impact on those cloud providers. So it's been very successful for us. So if you wouldn't mind completing the poll, we'd appreciate that. There will be a recording of the webinar today. So if you want to share this with your colleagues, I'll send an email out later today that's got a link to the recording. If you do have any further questions, then by all means, get in touch with your Servium account manager or myself, and we'll address those questions individually. And if you are interested in knowing more about GreenLake and specific questions that are relevant to your business, then between ourselves and Reuben, we will basically set up a one-on-one session. So thanks for taking the time today, everyone. Thanks to Reuben as well. The next one we're holding is on the 1st of March, which again is something very topical at the moment, artificial intelligence, but how that is applying to penetration testing. There's a lot of talk about AI, intelligent automation, all sorts of things like that. But we've got a specific webinar on the 1st of March. You'll be able to register for that now on our webpage. Again, the link to that will be in the email I send later today. But all around AI and pen testing, something that's quite relevant, and again, something that's quite groundbreaking and disruptive in the marketplace, and a new and a fresh way of looking at penetration testing. So as an IT manager, security specialist, or whatever, I think it could be sort of quite relevant. So I think we're just about finished on the poll. Thanks everyone once again for taking the time out to join us today. Hopefully you found that useful. And thanks for joining. Have a great Friday, and we'll see everyone soon. Thank you.